Hi, I'm Leanne and welcome to my small batch Big Taste Kitchen. And today is week 4 of Cake Month. Now, if you missed the other cakes, you want to make sure you go back and check them out. We have tres leche cake, we have hummingbird cake, and we have an Italian cream cake right up there. All so good. But today we are making a lemon ricotta cake. A perfect amount of cake for 2 to 4 people. Now, my husband and I recently took this spring a trip to Italy, and I think one of the first meals we enjoyed while we were there, the dessert, we ordered lemon ricotta cake. Now, we ordered one piece to share because we were trying to be good, and there's probably going to be gelato later. But as soon as I took a bite of that cake, I had major regrets that we'd only ordered one piece. Cake was so good. It was moist and tender, and the lemon flavor was perfection. I knew I needed to come home and recreate that cake. So I have a full-size version of it on my blog, which I'll link to below in the description. But today we're gonna make a small batch version. So you don't have to wait for a special occasion or when you've got more than 2 people around to make this cake. Make it today. Okay, we are gonna start this cake with 1/3 cup of softened salted butter. All right, we're gonna add that into our bowl. And we have 3/4 cup of sugar. I'm just going to take my hand mixer and just kind of cream that together. All right, you just want to beat it together till all that sugar is combined and it's nice and light and fluffy. And then we are going to add in 1 egg and the zest of 1 lemon. I've got my little microplaner here. We're going to juice this lemon and zest it, but you always want to zest the lemon first. Much easier to zest before it's been cut and juiced. And if you're using like a really small lemon, maybe go ahead and use 2, because you want to make sure you have plenty of amazing lemon flavor in this cake. We're also going to put a lemon glaze on it, which is going to give it even more lemon flavor. All right, and you only want to take off the yellow part of the lemon. You don't want to go down into the white part of it because that's going to be bitter. So just take off the top yellow part. All right, we've got that zested. Let me grab a knife. Let me grab a cutting board. All right, we just want to go ahead and just cut this lemon in half. And then we are going to juice it right into our bowl. Hold on. There we go. And I like to use my little lemon juicer. And if you've got one of these, for years I used it the wrong way. I always put the lemon cut side up, put it cut side down. This lemon's kind of big. We'll see if it's gonna fit. All right. Smells so good already. All right, there's probably about 2 tablespoons of juice in each half of the lemon. And my lemon was a big lemon. If you're working with a smaller lemon, it may only have like 1 tablespoon per side, so 2 tablespoons per lemon. All right, let's go ahead and mix that up. And then we're gonna go ahead and add in that secret ingredient that is gonna give this cake such amazing texture, and that it is a ricotta cheese. Now, this is what it looks like. Find it in the grocery store, usually kind of like by the sour cream in that area. And you may wonder, what is ricotta cheese? It is actually an Italian cheese. And it is made from the leftover whey production when they're making cheese. So it makes the ricotta really creamy and the perfect choice for a lot of desserts. It's great in cakes. So we're gonna go ahead and add that in. 1/2 cup of ricotta cheese. And then just mix that until combined. And now we're ready for our dry ingredients. We're gonna use a cup of all-purpose flour. I like unbleached all-purpose flour, and then we're going to use a teaspoon of baking powder. Always make sure you're using nice fresh baking powder. It's really what gives that cake its lift, so you want to make sure that it's nice and fresh. And a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, and a 1/4 teaspoon, grab it over here, of salt. There we go. And then we're gonna go ahead and mix that together just until all that flour is combined in there. All right, it is a somewhat thick cake batter, so that's where you want it. Now we need to prep our pan. I am using a 6-inch baking pan. If you don't have one of these, all my small batch cakes use them, plus other recipes. I'll link to it down below. You're gonna wanna get yourself one. And we are going to just go ahead and give it a nice spray And I'm also gonna line the bottom with a piece of parchment paper I just traced and cut to the shape of the pan. Place that in the bottom, helps get that cake out easier. And then I like to give that just a light spray too. Let me grab a spatula. There we go. We are gonna put that batter in the cake. So it fills the cake pan about 3/4 full. So now we're gonna put it into a 375-degree Fahrenheit oven and bake it for about 35 to 40 minutes until the top is set, it's not jiggly, it starts to pull away from the sides, and a toothpick comes out clean. The cake is done. I let it cool in the pan for 10 minutes. Then I just ran a knife around the edge, took it out, and then I'm letting it cool on this cooling rack. We are gonna add a glaze to this. Now, depending on how you like your glaze will depend how long you let your cake cool. If you want the glaze to just soak into the cake, you'll wanna go ahead and glaze it while the cake is still warm. Mine is just barely warm to the touch because I want the glaze to kind of sit on top and maybe soak in a little. So I'm gonna go ahead and glaze it now, but if you wanted it to totally be more like a frosting on top of the cake, you do wanna let your cake cool completely. So to make our glaze, we're gonna use, I've got about 3/4 of a cup of powdered sugar in my bowl here. And then I'm just gonna take a lemon and add enough lemon juice to it. Just do a little, I did like about half the lemon there, half a squeeze, to get it to the consistency you want. Again, if you want it thicker, more like frosting, go ahead and add less liquid or more powdered sugar. I want mine to be more like a glaze, like just to kind of make a nice little coating over the top. Although I might have gotten a little too much juice in there. I'm gonna add a little bit more powdered sugar. So add more powdered sugar if it's too runny, add more lemon juice if it's too thick. Okay, I think this is gonna be good. All right, so you can kind of see the consistency I have here. I always like to frost or glaze my cakes here with this little offset spatula. And so for this one, I'm just gonna go ahead. You can just pour it, drizzle it, however you want. I like to cover every little bit of that top with that glaze, because I love the flavor it gives the cake. And I'm actually gonna kind of bring it up to the edge, and if it wants to spill over, that's okay. Get all of that out of here. And I'm just gonna take this around the edges, because I do want it to spill around my edge. I'm a frosting girl. I eat cake a lot of times just for the frosting. So for me, the more glaze, the more frosting, the better. Let's give this a little help there. And then we're gonna let this totally cool, and we'll cut into it and we'll show you how tender and moist it is on the inside. All right, we're ready to cut into this cake. Can I tell you, it is so delicious. If you are a lemon lover, you've got to make this cake. All right, let me show you. You see how light and fluffy that cake is thanks to the ricotta cheese? So good. All right, let's take a bite. See if it tastes as good as that one in Italy. So light and tender and soft. It's a super soft cake. It's not overly lemony. The lemon is just very subtle in this cake. So good. Think you're gonna love it. Thanks for joining me for Cake Month. Now, this was supposed to be the end of the cake month, but I don't know. I'm kind of tempted. There's one other cake I want to try and make right now, so stay tuned. Come back next week. We may have a 5th week of Cake Month. Make sure you check out all the other small batch cake recipes up there. Thanks for joining me in the kitchen, and I'll see you in the next video.